Hi, everybody, and welcome to Reed's Reach Spider-Man Crawl Space Edition. Check us out, the SpidermanCrawlspace.com. Well, everyone, of course, I am here to review, of course, the latest amazing Spider-Man number, of course, 29, better known as 923 Legacy numbers. That's right, we're almost up to an anniversary issue. By Zeb Wells and, of course, Ed McGuinness. Believe it or not, I actually got some good news ahead of this issue. It's not much, but it will definitely put some things up of actually showing when Zeb Wells actually does show that he can be a writer. So let's get right into the pros. So first of all, there's actually some really good character work here. Believe it or not, the banter between Dr. Octopus and Norman Osborn is actually well done. I mean, it's very thing that, despite the what happened in the Superior Spider-Man title, as well as his own main series there by Dan Slott and Christo Gage, actually seeing how Otto's memories still have holes in them. That was established back in Nick Spencer's, that after he was given back his original body without the health issues, there were a lot of memory gaps. I do like the fact that Otto actually used some pieces back from the Beyond storyline to actually get his access, find out what was taken from Norman, taken by Norman from the Goblin Nation, a lot of his inventions and pieces. It actually shows exactly why Otto is very, very concerned on his own devices and his own intelligence. It's actually been a long established character trait of Dr. Octopus for the days of Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. And I really like how they work in with that rivalry between Dr. Octopus and Norman Osborn. These guys have never really seen eye to eye. They've technically tried killing themselves. And you actually feel sorry for Otto when he finally finds out that Norman was telling the truth, that he is trying to atone, even though his sins have been removed, and the fact that he tried doing that, and unfortunately it's just not working with them. And I really like that piece. I also like the actually more on the technical harness too, when it kind of gets revealed. We're seeing pieces from back in Amazing 700 when Peter was actually in the body of Otto Octavius, at least his memory graphs were. And the reason why the harness was acting the way it was back in 900, and even the way it kind of goes to Jonah and still has some back and forth, and as they say, an abusive relationship between Otto and Peter and Jonah, it really actually shows that Peter's memories actually put in there. When he says himself, it feels kind of familiar, but he doesn't really quite remember all the pieces of the puzzle, since his memories have gaps there from the transfer since the body died. It's actually pretty interesting how actually Zeb Wells has taken these storylines not only from his own story, but actually from past pieces of the Superior Spider-Man just before to make this story work. It actually makes the story actually work a lot of sense. The artwork actually reflects that pretty good. And it's actually something that works very well, especially with the cliffhanger with, of course, Otto saying, I'm going to prove that you're not reformed, Norman, by giving you the original Goblin formula, which was a twist I don't think any of us saw. And I really like that. But moving on to the cons. The biggest con is definitely going to say it, love or hate him, Rec Rap, of course, showing up. And the fact that it's such a throwaway scene just so Ed McGuinness, the artist, gets to do his character that he created that Zeb Wells and other people really weren't interested in, and the fact it got this popularity. And why we know we're going to see him in the upcoming Chasm storyline later on this fall, it just feels like it's thrown into like, hey, remember Rec Rap? And that awesome person also was a cosplayer online that showed all his pieces that was scarily true. We remember our demon symbiont, right? Right? Because he was supposed to be involved in Summer Symbionts, and he technically really wasn't. But here's Rec Rap. I'm Ed McGuinness, and I love this character. It's such a throwaway couple of pages. It could have been spent a little bit more on some of the stuff with Peter redoing the harness, actually becoming Octo Spidey, as we see. Remember, kids, get the toys. Maybe I owned one of those toys. You know me. And also thing too, it actually feels like an issue that was kind of well needed versus last issue when you had Otto kind of get it. They could have cut that story in half to get to this point to have it. It's a nice little character reaction, as well as using Peter's memory, as well as stuff that's happened between Norman, Dr. Octopus, Peter Parker, and J. Jonah Jameson, and of course the harness over the last several years. So it's kind of nice to see that all brought together. Unfortunately, we just don't see enough of this in Spider-Man. So I would have liked a little bit more of that, but as for a story, it really works. So believe it or not, I have to give this story a B. Yep, that's right, guys. It wasn't bad. It actually was pretty good. I like the character work. I like the artwork on the style and so forth. It's just between Rec Rap being thrown in there, the editor's notes, and a few other things kind of brings this level down. But it's the first issue in forever that I really liked it, and I actually want to see how it's going to all wrap up in a couple weeks. So not too bad there. So I'll give props where props are due. It wasn't a bad issue. And believe it or not, everybody, that's all I've got today. Yeah, I know. I gotta love these reviews that are quick and to the point and everything else. What am I gonna do for a couple weeks for the next issue? I don't know. Well, folks, I read these issues so you don't have to worry about them, or just to see if we're on par with how we think about it. And on that note, guys, if you want to know us more, go ahead and check us out at the SpidermanCrawlspace.com for all your latest Spider-Man news, podcasts, Discord, and more for great pieces on everything Spider related. And on that note, everyone, I'll see everyone in a couple weeks to see how this storyline ends on the Crawl.